Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday to you on this May 29th, 2025. I have all your stories for your rush hour ride home. And on today's episode, it is an action-packed day as we have the new cast of Survivor announced. Plenty of familiar faces. I'll share who might be seen on the upcoming season. And then Hailey Bieber is selling, her beauty line for $1 billion. Looks like she'll be able to front a loan for Justin Bieber. Now, hey, God bless her. She's now the breadwinner. Then we have the Krisley. Speaking of breadwinners, they were earning their bread in prison, and now they're no longer there thanks to a Trump pardon. I'll share what their daughter Savannah has to say. And then a Blake Lively-Tom Brady connection. What could this be all about? Well, as we have a report from Without a Crystal Ball, actually discussing how Tom Brady might have ditched the PR people that were representing Blake Lively, maybe in solidarity with the truth, maybe a Baldoni fan. We'll share that. And then what does taco mean? Taco is a trending word. It involves tariffs, and they're calling Donald Trump a chicken. We'll cover that story. Cluck, cluck. And then Ukraine, how folks are revolting that I guess were against Ukraine and now are pro-Ukraine. It's all over the place, and I'm here to break it down for you. It's a real wild time to be alive. These stories and more coming up right now on The Rush. Mike White returns for the 50th season of Survivor. How about that? Do you guys remember Mike White? He is the creator of White Lotus. Here they are on CBS Mornings revealing some of the cast.
Mike White, I mean, he actually, Mike, after he finished playing, said, I want to play again. And that was before White Lotus. And then White Lotus hit, and I thought, well, he'll never play again. But he kept texting and saying, look, I'm serious. If you ever do anything where you have returning players, I want to play again. So we're happy to have Mike back. And I thought he was going to win the game. And I felt like he sabotaged it a little bit in this sense. I think Mike wanted to prove to himself that he could win. And when he did, I think he gave it away. Think about it this way. This is the guy that writes and directs White Lotus, which studies human behavior in the most fascinating way. He gets Survivor, and I'm really excited to have him back.
All right, so anyway, it'll be a while before you can check that out. Are you guys still watching Survivor? It's a little dated. I mean, they used to go to different continents, and now it's like, all right, they show up in Fiji. Nobody eats. There's never any hunting. I just want someone to tackle an alligator. It's really just a bunch of games. It's kind of like Road Rules, right? It's like just an MTV show for us adults. I don't know. Either way, we'll have to see how he does. Well, how about this? Wild Central Park carriage horses collide, injuring multiple drivers. Now, this is just a sad story all around. I've talked about this plenty of times here. Every year, there's a heat wave in Central Park in New York City, and something happens where a horse dies in front of people, or, it's like, why in today's world of 2025 do we still have this? I mean, it's not for the horse's sake, right? I don't know, but either way, I guess ride at your own risk. So there's some horses crashed right there in Central Park. Wild time to be alive. And how about this? Speaking of wild time to be alive, Hailey Bieber's skincare firm road to be acquired by e.l.f. Beauty in $1 billion deal. I don't know what those words mean. None of that made any sense to me. Is it ELF? Is it ELF? Either way, I'll tell you this. I need to get my own skincare line. Forget Hailey Bieber. I'm 40 years old. Let's get the Dave Neal approach. Put some lotion on and pray. That's when you, a little sunscreen, and try not to, smile too much. I guess that's what you learn, right? The older you become, old millennials. It's like, isn't that the crux? God was like, look, you can be happy, but I'm going to leave wrinkles on your face if you are. And it's like, well, dang. See, the Russians knew all along not to smile. They have good skin. So congrats to Hailey Bieber right there. All right, Julie Krisley released from federal prison. Todd Krisley released from federal prison. I don't know. I mean, I don't know too much about their story. Were they able to have conjugal visits? Am I pronouncing that right? They were at different prisons. Of course, they were found guilty of, I think, tax evasion, I think faking different financial documents, things you can't do. They fake documents in order to get loans out and then use that money, to get to whatever. I don't know. But they did some jail time, just not their full sentence. So I don't really have too much of an opinion about it. Were they persecuted because of their political beliefs? No, I don't think that's the case whatsoever. Although it does happen where prosecutors will be ambitious to charge people with crimes far greater than other people because they are famous. That does happen in some cases where your own fame or notoriety could be a stepping stone to an ambitious prosecutor. I'm not sure if this is the case. Well, Savannah Krisley, clad in all pink and size 400 font MAGA hat, discusses waiting for her parents outside of prison.
So we've been waiting here, waiting for your dad to come out.
I know.
You keep thinking any minute.
I know. Yeah. Honestly, this process has been absolutely insane, and I'm just so grateful that I'm going to leave here with my dad. My brother, Grayson, is there to pick up my mom, so he's waiting. President Trump signed the pardons, I think at around 3 p.m. this afternoon. And it's all due to President Trump, Alice Johnson, Ed Martin, all of them. They have truly just shown up, and they've looked at this case with a fine-tooth comb.
I mean, that's how it is, right? But this is kind of funny, right? She said they looked at this case with a fine-tooth comb. Well, what's so funny about the January 6th pardons is that they didn't look at those with a fine-tooth comb, so they blanket pardoned everybody. Apparently, Trump was a little too there's too many, I can't read all of this, just let them all go. I mean, look, some people might have, in January 6th served too much time, or some people might have been unfairly treated, but for sure there were people that were had gotten physically violent with cops, that had done some pretty crazy stuff, and they were all pardoned. So either way, you know what? The Oprah Winfrey of pardons, that's what President Trump's legacy is going to be about. Bitcoin and pardons. All right, well, let's dive into it. Shall we dive into the big story of the day? A big rumor shared by Without a Crystal Ball. I'll just read what she has to say, but of course, go check out her content to get the full story. Tom Brady allegedly fires Stephanie Jones due to the Baldoni lawsuit. Now, after I share this story, I'm going to come back and share what another content creator is saying about why Taylor Swift and some of her pals might have been avoiding the music awards from the last few days. So this tea is served alleged and spicy, but an insider came into my DMs and told me Stephanie Jones lost her biggest client due to Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against her. All right, so I'm going to break this all down. Let's do this. Take a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, we'll have this story. Apparently, Tom Brady fired Stephanie Jones 4 to 6 weeks ago. The source claims that Brady has a 60-day window where he still must be under Jones Works, but this is coming to an end soon. My source said, that being Without a Crystal Ball source, said that Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against Jones exposed details about her business and practices that made her clients very disturbed. While Brady has said nothing publicly, he allegedly wasn't happy to see how Jones managed the confidential information of her clients. Other clients have also dropped Stephanie Jones because how she has treated her longtime employee Jen Abel. Expect a story in the coming weeks that Brady dropped Jones and thank me later, allegedly. Well, big get by Without a Crystal Ball here, and we'll stay tuned for that story. In other Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni news, Ashley Brianna Eve posted this on Twitter. On my video about Taylor Swift being snubbed at the AMAs, I said I could see a world where she was supposed to be there and something happened, so people backed out. Then I noticed Cara Delevingne didn't show up. This was announced 6 days ago that she was going to be there, then she didn't go. So yeah, could there be something bigger to the story? And look, I understand the people that don't want the Justin Baldoni coverage. They go, oh gosh, I had a video yesterday where we didn't cover it. And let me tell you something, it didn't get nearly as many views as the videos that do cover it. So take it for what it's worth. We got to feed the beast. Cover this story, and then this will afford us a chance to cover other things too. But if you do like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're listening on audio. Send us a nice 5-star review on the Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It means a lot. It's great for the algorithm. It keeps the channel growing. We can keep hiring people and trying to spread the good word of the Rush. Either way, the idea that Cara Delevingne sticking by her friend Taylor Swift's back, as Taylor Swift, a source basically said she didn't want to go to the award show because she knew she would be getting asked all these stupid questions about Blake Lively. So you can't blame her. I mean, she's been in the game for decades. Like, what is she going to get from some stupid award show? Which, by the way, everyone who went there said it stunk anyway. They did like these virtual performances from out of town. How bizarre, how bizarre. All right, so let's move into it. Speaking of pardons earlier, we have Donald Trump thinking maybe I'll even pardon the people that were going to kidnap a governor. Have a listen to this.
Will you pardon the people who are accused of conspiring to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer?
I'm going to look at it. I will take a look at it. It's been brought to my attention. I did watch the trial. It looked to me like somewhat of a railroad job. I'll be honest with you. It looked to me like some people said some stupid things. You know, they were drinking, and I think they said stupid things. But I'll take a look at that. And a lot of people are asking me that question from both sides, actually. A lot of people think they got railroaded. A lot of people think they got railroaded. And probably some people don't.
I tell you what, regardless of what you think about Trump, there's going to be a weird and very small piece of me someday that's going to miss hearing him speak. I'm sorry. It's so delusional. They got railroaded. They might have been drinking. We don't know. I'll look at it. Okay, buddy, do what you got to do. Here he is responding to this. And guys, this might be the story of the day. TACO is an acronym that means Trump always chickens out. And a reporter tells him about it to his face. You can guess his response is, that's a nasty question. Have a listen to this.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country, and because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till July 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation, but don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead.
All right, taco breath. I mean, listen, this is the world we live in. He gives a name to everybody. Sleepy Joe, Little Rubio. You know, he's got a whatever. He's got a name for everybody, and then they find an acronym, taco, and it kind of works. And now the truth is, does he chicken out? I mean, look, everybody knows. Don't negotiate with him. Just let him. Like China gave him nothing. And he went to this crazy level. And he's like, we had to go up that high. Fentanyl, this, that, they're doing that. And then we got nothing in return. We just showed that we're weak. And we showed that the bonds can't sustain these high tariffs. So it was brought down to a lower level. I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know. I mean, I of course I'll be accused of Trump derangement syndrome. But maybe I'm just craving a taco at this point. What can you tell me? All right, well, Trump ruled that Trump's tariffs are illegal, the ones from Liberation Day. So this is Ryan Grimm. I've shared him in the past. Ryan is, as far as I can tell, the most reliable source of anybody in the world. This guy gets it right. He's the most trustworthy of anyone I cover. So when he talks, I listen.
So the U.S. Court of International Trade has just invalidated all of Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, all of them across the board. The order just came out this evening. This was not a case that many people were following very closely. I think it's a 49-page ruling. I've skimmed it.
Are there still tariffs on tacos?
You can just Google and find the entire thing if you want. The gist of it seems to be that, yes, Congress has delegated the authority to increase and decrease tariffs to the executive branch, but they have done so under only particular circumstances and have not delegated all of the power to reshape the economy and the global economy to the president. That's basically the gist of the ruling. that if the president believes that there's a national emergency and we need to put on a tariff in order to protect a particular industry, or if there's a particular country that for some foreign policy reason needs some type of across the board tariff for a limited amount of time, that would be something that the president could do. But to tell the entire world that they all get these tariffs all across the board, all in kind of a fairly uniform and not well thought out way, and in a way that reshapes the entire kind of global economy, that's outside of the scope of the powers that Congress delegated to the president, according to this ruling now.
So again, we'll have to see if they stick to this or what. But yeah, talk about a spineless Congress, right? No one tried to stop this. They knew it was wrong. Every economist in the world knew that Trump's idea of what a trade deficit was made no sense whatsoever. I mean, I'm some jabroni who covers some quack podcast and I know more about, and people say, oh, Trump's a billionaire. You're not, Dave. That's fine, but I run a successful business here that's had 0 bankruptcies. All right, so take that taco, bend it sideways, and shove it up. Okay, so either way, yeah, I mean, look, I guess my opinion is the same that the judge has, which is that the executive branch has taken off bitten more than it can chew off the old taco, as it were. Here is Donald Trump commenting on the criticism he received from Elon Musk over the Republicans' big, beautiful bill that adds $4 trillion of deficit.
Elon Musk, in a television interview, criticized the one big, beautiful bill.
Disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, the reaction's a lot of things. Number one, we have to get a lot of votes. We can't be cutting. We need to get a lot of support, and we have a lot of support. We had to get it through the House. The House was. We have no Democrats. If it's up to the Democrats, they'll take the 65% increase. If that doesn't get approved, this country is going to have a 65% increase in taxes.
So what they could have done, which they're not talking here, is they could have taxed the rich. They gave tax cuts to the ultra wealthy, not you and I, those that are just doing okay, but those that make a lot of money, they have to pay less taxes now moving forward. So, if you make several $1 million, $10 million, you might save $300,000 in taxes. Whereas if you only make $15,000, your taxes might go up $300. And let me tell you something. If you're making $15,000 out there for the year, you don't have $300 to burn on that one. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but you could have got rid of this deficit if people just paid their fair share. How about that? Ben Shapiro isn't buying the conversation around Ukraine. He's basically telling Trump, look, they're doing everything you want. When is it going to be enough?
Again, I'm not sure what he wants from Zelensky that Zelensky hasn't already given him. Zelensky has given him the immediate ceasefire. Zelensky has said he will go anywhere for direct talks. Zelensky gave him the rare earth minerals deal. And sort of both sides of him from the Trump administration and from President Trump is the reason why Putin is pushing. Hey, Putin believes he can get away with it.
Putin believes he can get away with it. And, I know we have a lot we're covering here. Tariffs and Ukraine and more. But here's the truth. It is insane to me that anybody who criticizes Zelensky and praises Trump doesn't see the irony. Zelensky is a hero amongst his people. When he could have fled during the initial invasion by Russia, he stood in Kiev. He fought. He created a media center, essentially a podcast studio. He created a media center to get the word out about what was going on. And he, as small but mighty country, has held off against a much more powerful Russia's insurgents. What did Donald Trump do when he was faced with the idea of going to war? He got his dad to get a doctor to write a note that said he had bone spurs. He can't even remember which foot the bone spur was in. You know what I mean? Come on. They don't belong in the same universe, those two. Here's an interesting thing here. Texas is banning weed. And it was brought to their attention saying, "Why? Yeah, I understand if you think weed's bad for kids, but can adults make the right decision?" So anyway, we're back to the prohibition era for edibles. Have a listen.
I understand wanting to protect children, but you have grown adults who are using these products too. Is there a way to do this where grown adults could still have access to these products?
We don't want adults having this either. What are you, crazy? You want to go home and eat a bag of this tonight?
So he asks the reporter, do you want to go home and eat a bag of this tonight? I don't think he understands how edibles work. You don't eat the bag. Sometimes you do, by mistake, and sometimes you do it on purpose. But most likely you take that nice little gummy, it's 10 milligrams, and you nibble a little half of it, and then you wait a little while, and you go, I think I'll have a little bit more. And then if you don't have to work the next morning, you're like, you know what, let's party. And then you melt into your pillow. You have this wild dream. You get a great night's sleep. And then you wake up the next day and you go about your life because you do whatever the hell you want because you can decide as an adult what you want to put in your body.
See if you're here tomorrow. This is what we focus on, kids, because that's where they built the shops. But adults are buying this stuff too. Make no mistake. We want to protect the 20 and the 30 and the 40 and the 50-year-olds too. We don't want anybody buying anything off the shelf that could kill them or ruin their mental state for the rest of their lives.
Kill them? This guy needs an edible. I mean, anybody who wants to ban edibles could really use an edible, is what I have to say about that. But there's Texas, the Lone Star State. They want to tell you what to do with your body. Whether it's weed or anything else. You might think, Dave, you're just criticizing the Republicans. Come on. Now listen, the Democrats, we can criticize them too. After the recent death of Representative Jerry Connolly, along with 2 other Democratic lawmakers in recent months, it's fueling this conversation about generational change in Congress. Should we allow people who are that old to be making decisions on behalf of the whole country? Have a listen.
Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly's death last week is fueling the argument that older incumbents should step aside. If Democrats had his vote, it's possible they could have blocked or at least delayed House Republicans' sweeping spending bill passed last week. Sahil, a tough topic, but probably one that needs to be had.
Yeah, that's right, Mika. This intra-party debate about age and power is escalating, and the argument for generational change is gaining traction now in new corners of the Democratic Party. We know there's been an ongoing reckoning with President Biden and his ill-fated attempt to run for re-election, but now there's a new factor fueling the challenge to this culture of seniority, which is the fact that Democrats are weakened by older lawmakers in their ranks in poor health who keep dying in office.
Oh my gosh. The Democratic Party is so incompetent and so poorly run that they can't even, A, get people elected. And then when they do get elected, they're dying of old age. Now, look, I love old people. I think old people are great. I think there should be like a cabinet, like a position of elders to get all of their wisdom. But do they have the energy? Not they collectively, like everybody. We're talking about people in their 80s. I mean, when you look into it, the average age of senators, Senator Chuck Grassley, this is a couple years old, 91 years old. Mitch McConnell in his mid-80s. Bernie Sanders is old, but at least Bernie Sanders gets up there and votes. Some of these people, they have to weekend at Bernie them. They got to just like shuffle them and wake their... I mean, Senator Dianne Feinstein was essentially propped up by her staff. And then we have even, people like Ruth Bader Ginsburg who should have bowed out. And again, she's not an elected official. She's, was a Supreme Court justice. But this idea that you get into your 70s and 80s and you hold on to power. Bro, you get healthcare for life. Go enjoy it. Golf. Do your thing. Go to an All-American Rejects concert. I don't care what you do. It's not ageism to say that you shouldn't function and be a healthy and happy person in society. It's just like, give a little bit for the rest of us. Us young whippersnappers in our 40s, because those are the people that have kids that will be affected by the changes that you make. So the youngest senators are late 30s, early 40s. And I think we should have a culture where there's more senators in their 40s and 50s than in the 70s or 80s. Don't hate me on that. I think that's a good thing for, getting a youthful representation out there for what we need, from our elected officials. We need elected officials that aren't afraid of a little edible. We need elected officials that know about social media and how to sort of stand up for their message and not, take money from whatever. The old guard's done. Bring in the new guard. I don't care who it is. Just give us someone good to vote for. Okay. Anyhow, that's it for me. If there's any other breaking news stories that we didn't get to today, I'll have them on social media. So check me out, The Rush Hour with Dave Neal on Instagram, or D Neals on Instagram, my main page, and D Neals on TikTok. And we'll see you first thing in the morning. I am assuming Friday is going to be a crazy day. Lots of things lined up, so we'll probably have a pretty busy day tomorrow, so stick around for that. And thanks again for all the nice reviews you've left on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and for subscribing on YouTube. It means the world. We'll see you in the morning. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.